girls, so today we're going to go through cues for activating your pelvic floor. So just to go straight off the bat and say that the more cues you give, the more confusing it is for people. So if you already know how to activate and you're comfortable with activating, then I would just stay with the cue that you're using in your own head. The easiest cue that I find with women when they come in is to tell them that they are in an appointment with a lovely physio and they've never met before and they don't want to fart in front of her. So you stop the fart, you draw around the back passage, you squeeze and lift up. And I would say a lot of women will get that. They'll do the correct contraction just from that cue. So cue number one is imagine you're going to fart and you don't want to, or you imagine you're going to break wind and you don't want to. So you draw around your back passage and you lift up. That's probably the most easiest cue to give people. Second cue you can give is imagine that you're peeing and you're mid-flow and you want to stop it. So that again, it's a little bit more of an anterior or front cue, but that might be appropriate for some people. Third cue then that works for some people, if people aren't getting, I start with these ones, so stopping yourself from passing wind, stopping yourself from passing wee. If people aren't really understanding it, they're still not getting it, I'll say, imagine that you've got a straw stuck up your bum or stuck up your vagina or stuck up your urethra where you pee out of, depending on what I'm trying to get out of the person. I'll say, imagine there's a drinking straw up there and you're going to suck a milkshake up through the straw. So you're going to have to close around the straw and you're going to have to lift it up. That's cue number 3. That works really well for some people. If they're still not getting it, I'll make it a little bit more kind of explain a little bit more and I'll say, right, let's think about, there's 2 cues that I use that are a little bit more complex. And it really depends on the person that I'm working with, whether I use these or not. One is a reverse ripple. So some people love this cue. This is something I struggled with for a long time understanding it. I don't know why, because it makes perfect sense when I explain it. But imagine that there is a pebble and you're going to drop it into a pool of water. So the pebble falls straight down, drops into the water and creates a ripple out from where it's fallen into the water. Make sense? So you want to imagine a pelvic floor contraction as if somebody was rewinding that on a tape. So the ripples move back into the center and they come back up. So imagine that again. So it's rewinding that image. So the ripples move back into the center and the pebble comes back up. That's the same idea for your pelvic floor. So imagine that you're closing around the opening and that you're drawing up inside. So that's another cue that works really well for some people. And the last cue I sometimes use with people, and again, I choose my lady for this. I don't say this to all of them because it can be a little bit complex, but imagining that you have, for example, if I'm trying to get them a more posterior cue, I'll say, imagine that you have a marble at your back passage and you want to pick it up. So you'll need to close around your back passage as if you're picking that marble up, and then you need to lift it up inside. And then sometimes if I want a more anterior cue, I'll say to them, imagine you have a blueberry at your vagina. Ruins blueberries forever. You will never look at them the same. So imagine you have a blueberry at your vagina and you want to grab it. So you want to pick it up, so close around it and lift it up inside. And if I want them still to get more of an anterior cue, I'll say, imagine you have a little raisin at the front where you pee from. And again, you want to pick that up. So it's quite small. You want to grip around it and you want to lift it up inside. So they're the kind of cues I generally work on. Quick recap: stopping yourself from passing wind, stopping yourself from passing wee. These are just cues now, not what you actually practice, but don't do that as a thing. But stopping yourself from passing wind, stopping yourself midstream as if you were weeing. Third one was your milkshake, so sucking a milkshake up through a straw. That's hard to say. And then the last 2 are a little bit more complex. They're the reverse ripple from the water, so drawing inwards and upwards. And the third one was you're picking up your marble or your blueberry or your raisin with the 3 openings. And so generally they work for most women once you've gone through them. Okay, I hope that those are helpful and that they help you out getting the right pelvic floor contraction. If you are still struggling, whether you're doing it right or you're unsure, pop over and watch my other video on a self-check of whether you're doing them correctly. But if you're still unsure or questioning yourself, then go and get an appointment with a local women's health physio. Okay, best of luck. Bye.